if the opportunity came, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking a chunk out of it. I want a piece of that blade.
This is the last chance I'm going to get at designing a Hypershock for a toy, so it had to be perfect.
They knew that they couldn't really go weapon to weapon, so they went weapon to side of weapon.
We hit the jackpot in Vegas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And today we're here to talk about the GSCRL championships, which are upcoming in a very short period of time. So we have some competitors here, some event organizers here, and I'm excited to chat about it. So welcome y'all to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Absolutely. Now, the first thing that, for people that don't know how the season setup is for GSCRL, and we've talked about it a little bit before when we've done prior episodes, but just for those that don't know, what is the idea and process behind having the championship so early in the year as opposed to some other leagues that maybe have it towards the end of the year?
So it's kind of a twofold reason that Garden State Combat Robotics League, or GSCRL, has opted to have our championships in August. This is one of our two largest events in the regards of being public facing. We have the New Jersey State Fair at Sussex County as the venue. They graciously provide us an entire pavilion on a Saturday, power, whole 9 yards, and we saw at least 1,500 people walk through the pavilion last year. So it gives us our championships and our best robots in front of our largest public crowd, but it also gives us a championship offset from everybody else's, so that our competitors that compete in other places are not scrambling to be at the top of their game for their championships. Our championships are offset by several months so that you have hopefully a gap between every other event and you really can perform at your best.
Yeah, that's a great idea because the nice thing is that combat robotics has grown so much that people do tend to compete in multiple places. And if I'm sure for most people, if it was like, well, you have two championships to compete in and they're in back-to-back weeks, that would probably be quite a lot to prepare for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think Adam competes just as much as me and one of the most in the league in other places. He can answer that.
Yeah, not the smartest idea, but around this time last summer, I ended up doing 4 events in 4 weeks with I think 8 different robots. So yeah, not the funnest of times, but I was glad to get to compete. I competed everywhere. I think I did Macro, Norwalk, Sword, and GSCRL in those 4 weeks. That was very hectic time.
Stressed out just hearing about that. And I went to 2 of those, and I thought that was pretty good. But 4 weekends in a row was quite the feat, especially with that many robots too.
Yeah, June was a little crazy for me. I did NHRL teams and GSCRL the same weekend, and then proceeded to do Smirk out with Merca, and then another, what was it, Norwalk, GSCRL, Norwalk, and Smirk. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. I think that, when I decide to occasionally do 3 to 4 interviews in a week, that is a lot for me. But having to put robots together and have them be functional and at the top of their game, I can't even imagine how that is in a relatively short period of time. But now, before we get into the championship, just from any of you who wants to talk about it, just to kind of talk about the season so far in the league, and what your experience has been for any competitions that you've been to, because I mean we're almost into August, and like, yes, it's early, but it's still been like 7 to 8 months into the year at this point.
For sure. So the this season with G Scroll compared to last season, we've I don't remember the exact number of events, but we've expanded our venues by quite a bit. This past season, we had an event in a games a game store slash hangout place that was in the Marlton area, South Jersey, and then we also I ran an event at the College of New Jersey that coincided with the Trenton Computer Festival. Um, we were able to get a lot of public outreach from that, as well as just some great people getting together to fight robots.
I feel like this has definitely been one of the most competitive seasons too. We've had a ton of new competitors show up. Like Alex mentioned, we had a couple public facing events last year. So we got a lot of people that just, happened to be walking by at the right time, went into the pits, parents with their kids, all sorts of different groups of people that might not necessarily, you get a lot of like, we were talking about first robotics people, or you get a lot of people that are in engineering, but we've gotten so many new people that come from all different like backgrounds, like I said, parents and kids, like full families, like groups of friends that have just started out. And especially with this last season, I feel like with us having more events and larger events, we've really seen a huge pool of applicants. I forget how many ants and beetles we had total when we were looking at the final results for this past year's worth of events, but I think they were in the 80s to maybe 90 range per each weight class. So just based on the number of robots alone, that's pretty crazy, especially compared to, I think, around 2 or so years ago when I first got started. Had an event where you were lucky if maybe 10 people showed up in your weight class. Or I think we had a beetle event 2 years ago where there was 3 beetles, and we just had one with like 35, including people from Brazil and England and international competitors. So it's definitely really blown up, and it's been a pretty fun year just seeing that many different robots, and the variety of people and builders and robots has been pretty awesome.
Yeah, I
One of the
remember the first couple G Scroll events. It wouldn't be a G Scroll event unless you fought Ryan, Kevin, or Alex with cheesecake, and pretty much everything. It used to be pretty. Everyone would end up fighting each other, but now, I mean, I haven't fought Ryan in a hot minute.
Yeah,
Kevin and I still fight the plastic ants, but that's plastic ants.
yeah. I think
But
my robot shin kicker has fought Nomad like 6 or 7 times. Like,
yeah,
you know, so it's but yeah, it's been like probably almost a year, if not longer, since we've come across each other now with this many competitors.
Yeah, one of the early
And
Mech Mayhems had like one. There was an event where there was one beetle. Like Lars brought jet lag, and he was like, "So do I just get the first place trophy, or like what happens?" Like there were so few competitors in those early days, uh, and now to Ryan's point, we've got like 90 plus competitors in a given category, and the like level of competition as well is insane.
absolutely. As a matter of fact, I actually have one of the trophies from that exact competition.
That's the one, yeah.
Uh, Kevin's talking about. Madeline made these. Um, but yeah, that was a great event. That was the last event in the. I don't know if that was the original Fubar building, but that was the building I
yes,
knew. So that was the last event in the original Fubar building. before they had to switch to the place where they're at now. But that was a great
And and going back to some of the growth of the past year as well, our championship last year at the fair, that was a first time thing. The Bridgewater Mall, that kind of came out of nowhere and was asking the right person the right question, and it happened. And the fact that Bridgewater Mall and teaming up with FRC Team 56 was able to get us, I think it was 6 or 8 thousand square feet in a mall, split up in 2 rooms where we had the pits and we had the arenas. The number of people that walk through a mall in December getting close to Christmas is crazy. And the amount of distance that our competitors will travel to show up is amazing as well. Some of our most consistent competitors coming from Massachusetts. Who else comes from a good distance regularly?
Lars and them. They're
Yep.
coming from the lower Maryland area.
We had a couple
Yeah.
Midwest occasionally.
I know Crash Panda comes from like New York.
Rochester. If I recall correctly, he's up near Rochester.
Yeah, and another point to the growth, for the TCNJ event, we had to have a hard cap of 50 robots for that event, just because with the time constraints we were working on and all that. But registration filled up in probably about 36 hours. And that was just something amazing. So yeah, it's the first time I had ever ran an event. That was definitely something very encouraging to see on that end.
Probably a little stressful as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it was exciting.
We still have to break Merca's record. They've shut down RCE and timed out in 5 minutes.
Ooh.
I hope we don't get to that point, but I do like being able to sign up for the events. But
Yeah, and I guess kind of like talking about growth and new players. I'm by far the newest player here. I didn't even know that like you could compete in combat robotics in December. I learned about it in the middle of December. So um it's definitely been I have kind of the opposite um experience where I'm like brand new. I'm just learning as I go. But it's been so incredible to like go to these events. And first off, I'm actually from New Jersey, so it's so incredible and lucky to have all these awesome events in my backyard. Um, I could like I'm driving like at most, like 2 hours to get there, which I realize is actually not a bad drive compared to compared to what a lot of people are doing. Um, but it's just been like a really amazing experience to get to meet all these like really amazing builders. I feel like I've learned um like I'm like in college right now, and I feel like I've learned more just um doing this combat robot doing this hobby than from any of my classes really. It's like it's like
Yeah.
there's just so many layers of every time I like learn a new thing, I'm like it just opens doors to like like five more things I realized I didn't even know what I was doing. So it's been really cool to just for anyone who just like loves learning, it's like really awesome to just keep peeling back all these layers of depth to understanding how robotics works.
Yeah, it's definitely a real learning experience.
Yeah.
I know that firsthand. Now I want to get into talking, kind of more specifically about the championship and what to expect. And I'll have you all talk about your robots. But first, there's obviously a lot of builders who are not on this episode of the podcast who are bringing robots. I'm curious if any of you wants to throw out any names of those robots of like who you might be concerned about having to fight, who you might be excited to fight, anything like that.
I think I speak for everybody in the we're concerned about monkfish and mud skipper.
I don't
Yes,
think there was a
absolutely.
straight nutter bolt or anything left on my robot after I fought Mud Skipper last year. There's like actually wait, I have it over here. There's a shoulder bolt that my weapon runs off of for shin kicker. That's like pretty deep into the robot. You know, maybe like a half an inch in, and it's a quarter-inch solid steel shoulder bolt. And after I fought Mud Skipper, I took it out of the robot, and it had like a good 15-degree bend in it. So it's pretty hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mud Skipper is one of those that I'm like super excited and nervous about seeing at the same time because I feel like it's almost like I'm almost like in a movie or a show or something, where I haven't actually fought against it, but I just keep hearing these rumors from left and right about well, it's like a death sentence going into the pit with Mud Skipper. I'm so excited to see it in action in person. Maybe a little as nervous as I am excited to drive against it, but I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe not first round, but I definitely am looking forward to hopefully getting another rematch. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes though.
Well, Ryan, you've kind of got your own mud skipper now.
Oh yeah, wait, I got that. Yeah, this is I guess or I could say it before we talk about robots, but yeah, no, this is Lilliputian. It's kind of like a weird. This is a the biggest ant weight I've ever built. It's like a bigger footprint than my beetle, but yeah, it's kind of just like a weird Billy meets hijinks sort of really tall big boy robot. But yeah, it's kind of just meant to be wonky. I built it out of leftover parts for Shin Kicker because I had sent Shin Kicker with Kevin to the Robot Combat Events National Championship. I couldn't make it, but I wanted to just see how it did. So I sent the robot, and then we had another event coming up, and I was supposed to get Shin Kicker back at the event, so I didn't really have any time to prepare it. So just threw something together, and it ended up doing pretty well. And then it ended up going 6-1, and it won our June event. So shot up the rankings. I wasn't really planning on running it in August, but I guess that's a good problem to have. So
We're also Prince and the Fool have done very well at our events leading up to champs.
Yeah, I have had to. Well, I fought the Fool as a grudge match in January at NHRL, and really that thing, it's frustrating, but it's also a ton of fun to fight. I take back everything I previously said about cam lifters because it was just a lot of fun to have to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know they have an ant weight version called Harlequin that they debuted at the April event at the April event, and that was really cool. With it was them coming up to, I forget who was in the group I was with at the time, but they said, "Hey guys, you want to see something cool?" And they just pulled the robot out of their pocket. It didn't have the forks or anything on it. It was the robot. It's still incredibly tough. The beetle weight is, and can take a punch. They always drive it fantastically as well.
We've also got, I know Mako went on a bit of a tear at a recent NHRL. We're going to have Mako there, which uh, all I can say is I'm glad I don't have a Beetle because I've never built anything with like any top armor. And I know if I had a Beetle, Mako would be like terrifying to fight.
Well, after the last NHRL, Turbo Fiend is it Turbo Fiend or Turbo Friend now? I'm not sure which
It's
because of
Turbo
the little
Fiend.
name change.
Yeah.
It had a heck of a tear at the last NHRL, and there's been a lot of work done to it. I'm intrigued to see what it does, and should be interesting.
Yeah, between Mako and Turbo Fiend, they've got their team is putting together quite the arsenal of pretty deadly robots over there. So
Yeah,
actually, I think we have a couple of teams that have multiple top robots. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people to watch out for, in my opinion.
yeah, we have Ryan with Apex Predator, Portable Apocalypse, and the Beatles, and I'm trying to think what his aunt is called.
His aunt's Meso Predator.
Meso Predator, that's it.
Yeah, that's one he's been working on for a while, and he's just more the recent side gotten it pretty much dialed in. It's a very neat little robot. It's incredibly small, very tiny footprint, very impressive with what he's done with it.
Yeah, all three of those bots are champion caliber. Like, I wouldn't want to run into any of them personally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I guess that's the problem when you take the top like 16 to 20, depending on
Yeah,
weight bracket of each. You don't really, there's not any robots.
Yeah,
that are,
there's no
like,
soft targets
pretty
left.
easy. It's all like pretty seasoned competitors. So
That's what makes it so exciting.
exactly.
Yeah,
We have,
exactly.
and we've kind of neglected our plastic ants here. However, there's quite a few bigger names in there between Block of Cheese, Captain, Crash Panda, Grover, Bottom Feeder, MC Hermie that have been around for a while, or in the regards of Grover, relatively new and making a little bit of a wave as Paul is learning.
Yeah, the steps that Paul's taken with Grover has drastically improved that robot. If it's just to look at where he started with that robot and to look now, it's just extremely impressive to see what he's done with that.
Absolutely.
I think he's been away from it for a while, but I think he won the February event with it.
Yes, yes, it was Grover, Elmo, and then Amalgam that placed in that February event.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Now, what I want everybody to do, if you can, just kind of go around and talk about your robots, what you've been doing to prepare and what you kind of expect to happen in the championships.
Sure. So I guess I'll start. I have two robots that qualified, which is really cool, first off. Because I was my one of my goals when I first went to my first event in January was like, oh, it would be so cool if I could qualify for the championships. And I actually got two qualified in, so I'm really excited about that. Um I have a an ant weight named Bumblebee and a beetle weight named Honeycomb. As an aside, the naming convention is from I'm a beekeeper. That's like one of my other hobbies. So I've just been sticking with that as a theme. I might break out of that at some point. But so I'll start with Bumblebee. Bumblebee is the first robot I got. It actually it started out as a necessary evil kit. Um, so it's just a nice little control bot, nice and maneuverable and pretty simple to repair, which is important for someone just getting started. Um, and it's been really fun to just like get to drive it around and um uh going into finals. I haven't made too many changes. I've been playing around with some different like fork configurations. I finally realized that I need to like uh glue these Lego tires onto the hubs because they keep popping off. I think I had a fight with Ryan actually where the fight started and immediately they sucked up a tire. And that was the end of my mobility and I just kind of crab walked around the rest of the fight. So I got to fix that. I'm gonna play around with some different substances like epoxy and super glue and stuff, and see what sticks the best. Um, and then otherwise, I've just been doing a lot of practicing, like driving. I think the nice thing about having a weaponless control bot is that I could just put it on my kitchen floor, throw some like obstacles on the floor, and just practice. Like my dogs don't like it, but aside from that, I've just been trying to get as sort of tuned in with my driving as I can, because I feel like with a lot of these fights that I have, I've been like sort of looking through the brackets. A lot of it I think will come down to driving, and I want to give Bumblebee her best shot at an event. I'm hoping um things go well. Maybe I can even like place. Though really I feel like I've already accomplished my goal by just qualifying. So I'm just happy to be there. Um and then Honeycomb is the second robot I got. It is also started out as a kit. It's a 3 pound SSP kit. Um and I've been playing around with some various like modifications and configurations, though I have a feeling I'll probably just stick with the base um, the basic SSP kit, because um with that one sometimes every time I try a new like configuration it just falls flat. So I feel like I should go with the tried and true there. But the same idea. I've been practicing a lot of driving. I have um, I have I, I have I actually got a second copy of that robot so that um I won't have like too many troubles in the pits. And the big thing is that I gave give a remote to one of my friends, and we'll just like practice driving against each other in the kitchen. We kind of like set up a little mini walled off arena. And I think that's also been like really helpful, getting that like practice time and that stick time in. Um, and man, I'm really excited to be there. I just can't wait. Um, but that's basically it. It's I think it's mostly coming down to practicing. Um, I'm not really making any major modifications going in, because I've felt good about my fights. I think if I just step up my driving, I'll be able to do pretty well, I'm hoping.
Yeah, just for clarification, I've got the rankings pulled up. Bumblebee has fought in 4 events this season and has gotten top 4 in all of them. So Bumblebee is pretty cracked.
Thank you, thank you. It's been quite a quite an experience. I just I just go in trying to do the best I can, hoping to win one or two, and it works out sometimes. But they're always close fights, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I guess as far as the robots I'm bringing 2 robots, a full combat 1 pound, and then a plastic and 1 pound robot. And then my brother is also hopefully bringing a plastic in as well. My full combat ant weight is Nomad. It's been competing for multiple years now, and it's gone through. This is the second complete redesign that it's gone through. The previous redesign didn't really fare out that well, so I decided, you know what? Why not just redesign it in time for uh, the season championships, so that all the new bugs can hit me right when it means the most. But I kept the same weapon system from the previous redesign because I didn't really get a lot of data on how well that worked out. It's a lot heavier than the original. Uh, it's a lot heavier, and it's a pure 1/4 inch thick disc now, as opposed to about an inch disc with a TPU hub. So I have really high hopes because the previous all the problems with the 2 previous versions stem from the TPU in the body just not being stiff enough to handle the my indirect four-wheel drive. So now with this version, the entire body is made out of interlocking 2 millimeter carbon fiber. So hopefully that takes care of those issues. And then printed TPU top, and then the just TPU wedges and all that. So really hoping that, because Nomad is kind of infamous for having drive issues. So I'm kind of hoping that that takes care of that, and I can just, it works out well, and then I can just modify it down the line as it goes. Plastic Ant I'm bringing is the Captain, which has also been competing for many, many years now. I think actually just the other day was its third anniversary of its first fight. Gone through a couple redesigns, but it's remained largely unchanged since 2021. The biggest change that I made to it recently was I changed the shape of the uprights from just regular looking uprights to looking like the wings on the side of Captain America's helmet, which I really like that. I'm proud of myself for coming up with that one. But it it did extremely well out at its last event, which was the RCE Nationals out in San Jose. Um, it went, I forget its exact record, but it ended up with second place. It won 2 fights and then came all the way up through the losers bracket, and it had an amazing fight, probably one of my favorite fights of all time against Deatherang. I know you can check it out. They have a video of it on their channel. That is one of the best plastic can fights you'll see. We were both just giving each other the business. It was fantastic. Um, but it came in second place out at nationals. I was very pleased with the performance. So I haven't really changed that much with the Captain. The wedge design is still the same old wedge design as I've had for the previous however long. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much the opposite of what Mark does. I barely practice driving at all. So um I just get to the event, and yeah, I just kind of see what happens. But yeah, my brother's robot Amalgam, I've been me and him, it was actually about it's been probably 3 days. I mean, what's today now? The 22nd? Yeah. 3 days ago was the 10-year anniversary of me and my brother's first event together. And pretty much ever since then, I've been trying to get him to build a robot, come out to these events, because he's always there helping me. Um, but this Plastic Ant was his first venture back into it in quite some time, and he was luckily able to qualify. He snuck in the last spot because he placed in the February event. It's just a basic two-wheel drive vertical spinner. He drives it extremely well for not practicing driving and not even going to really any competitions like I do. Um, but I'm very excited. We're going to make a little bit of changes. I still have to talk with him, CAD some ideas up, but the weapon, it uses the same weapon base philosophy as the Captain and Nomad. So um, hopefully the weapon was pretty effective at the February event. So hopefully it takes care of business at the championships.
Yeah, I feel like Amalgam might be one of those sleeper picks where it's got such a small sample size, but it kind of popped off in all of those small samples. So like it's coming in at the 12 seed, but I don't know. I feel like it's a champion. It's a podium contender for sure.
That was one of those things that we have to figure out, because apparently at the February event, one drive side would just randomly die, and we don't really know why. So we're just going to swap all the electronics and motors out and hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess I can go next. I've got like four robots that qualified for champs, and then one that might qualify if depending on if how far down the list it goes for people that drop out. Um, all five of those went to the RCE Nationals, the competition Adam was just talking about. We've got one ant weight and then four plastic ant weights. So clearly we have a type in weight classes. Uh, we've got an ant weight that's just a pretty bog standard wedge called Lobot. I think it's coming in at the two. It's coming in at the 3 seed for ant weights, right below Mark's Bumblebee at 1 and Ryan's Shin Kicker at 2. Then we've got 3, possibly 4 plastics, a big horizontal that's themed like a block of cheese called fittingly Block of Cheese. We've got 2 crab themed robots. One of them that's like a horseshoe crab thagomizer. So it's got like business in the front, party in the back, and you spin around and hit them with your spinning weapon. And then MC Hermie, which is supposed to be a hermit crab, but I'm not very good at CAD, so it kind of just looks like a generic vertical spinner that's vaguely crab themed. Um, haven't touched them since last competition, which was like a month and some change ago. So we'll see what happens.
Nice. So I guess I'll go next. So I got 3 robots that qualified for the championship. So I have 2 full combat ants and 1 beetle. So going with the ants first, we got Shin Kicker is a horizontal spinner, sort of a triangular Valkyrie rotator-esque inspired 2-wheel, just sort of get up in their face and whack them sort of robot. This is my oldest robot by far. I was actually just updating it the other day on the RC page, but it's the only one I really keep a match history for, but it has over 60 matches in at this point. So it started out, I think, a little over 2 years ago in March 2020. And it was pretty much just I went on to Finger Tech, was like, okay, there's a weapon, there's a weapon motor, just really off the shelf parts in a little chassis. I think it gutted itself pretty violently after fighting once or twice. So it's definitely a robot that I would say I did a lot of my learning curve on. There was a point in time where I was going to these events, every 3 or 4 weeks, just traveling around, and I don't think I brought the same robot to an event for like 5 or 6 events in a row. So it's just always making changes. I went from mostly doing like 1 and 2 events, 0 and 2 events, plenty of those. I think it took me like 40 something matches to get a positive record on this robot, but it's sort of gradually over time just improved and improved. Now everything's fully custom on the robot. So I've pretty much just sort of piece by piece replaced things, improved them, made changes to the point where it's actually a pretty competitive robot now. So that's Shin Kicker. Lilliputian, we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's just sort of this real goofy looking big bar horizontal spinner. It's really tall. It's definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest ant weight I think I've seen, at least at one of our events. But it was just sort of meant to be a goofy, like weird hits, weird spots on robots. I think a couple of the control bots, it's actually pretty much taller than it can like run over the top of them. So it creates some interesting ways to hit other robots that maybe, aren't standard, which is kind of interesting. It's really goofy too. Plus, with both of these robots, the most important feature is definitely the Google eyes that as the robot's bouncing around on the floor, the eyes ping pong all over the place. So I feel like you get some, it definitely adds to the effect, I think, overall. And, people seem to like it a lot. So it's definitely something that keep doing with these robots. As you can tell, I like big horizontal spinners. So definitely, I mean, not as efficient as like verts, but you know, there's just something fun about getting that one big hit on some other people, sending people flying across the arena, whether it's your own robot, whether it's the other robot, both of you ping ponging off the walls. You know, you always are going to get a good show out of those robots, which I think is kind of fun too. And you know, sometimes you just get that one good hit and it really like becomes one of the like highlights of the event, or at least for your own personal experience. So that's sort of why I chose to design those two the way that they are. I like going after that like sort of one big hit that you get like a really memorable experience. And like I said, you know, there's pieces of your robot flying because your blade deflected and ripped off half your robot, or like, you know, sometimes this is the other person, sometimes you're just hitting the wall and you go flying because you miss the other person. I'm not a very good driver too, so that's why having a big weapon is kind of nice sometimes. You know, you can be a little that can play as your defense and your offense too, which is good because this robot's kind of like held together with hopes and dreams right now. So I had to squeeze another like 30 grams out of the robot to try to improve the drive, and it's already like basically made of wet tissue paper. So you kind of just have to hope that you're like having a 7-inch blade can keep people away. So it's part of the fun though. And then my last robot's a modified Peter Bar kit. It's Tokyo Drisk. It's got a custom drive weapon and a couple different fun attachments. It's been a really fun robot. I've mostly focused on like the custom ants and try to like work on my own design in that sort of category. So this has been a great robot to get some beetle driving practice. And then at some point, I'd like to make a more custom beetle. But this has been a great robot in the meantime to sort of, you know, it's like pretty decent. Made some improvements, like I said, to the drive and weapon, and then making some attachments just for different robots, which has been kind of fun. And you know, I think if you have some experience building robots in maybe a smaller weight class, that could be a good one to sort of feel it out without going too crazy. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with these guys and smashing robots. So looking forward to doing it in August. And I'm usually trying to cap myself at running 2 per event, just because it could get a little bit hectic running around. But running 3, I've been trying to prepare as many assemblies and extra pieces as I can ahead of time to try to save myself some time at the event. But we'll see if that actually ends up working out, or if it's just going to be total mayhem for like 8 straight hours. But
Yeah.
I do want to applaud you, Ryan, for having all of your robots at least there together and presentable.
Yeah.
I know.
Lilliputian
I know.
was,
At least I can speak for me and Kevin. I just touched the captain. I took the captain out of the box. It was shipped from San Jose in today. So that's yeah. It always, no matter how much time you allot yourself, it's always a hectic Friday night
Yep.
before the event.
I know if I tried to do what Ryan did and show what I have, it would just be like a handful of parts. Like there would be nothing presentable right now.
Yeah, little shin kicker is pretty much good to go. I have a bunch of spare parts made. Lilliputian, I'm still trying to shave those last couple grams on, so I just kind of threw it together for the sake of showing off. But you know, it's one of those things where it looks like a rat's nest on the inside. So just shoving all the wires in and screwing like the lid on just to try to fake that it looks presentable. But you know,
Did you switch Lilliputian over to indirect drive?
yeah, actually, wait. Let's see if I can get it on video.
I don't remember it looking like that before.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Sorry with the black background, but I kept breaking the drive motors, even like the 4mm shaft repeat brush. I think they're just not really, you know, I don't know if anyone's tried to run them on wheels this big before, but I think when it's like bouncing itself around violently, whether it's off walls or, you know, like I was talking about sometimes with those big hits, you know, you go flying, they go flying, you know, you don't know which way is up. But I think because of the size of the wheels on this robot, it's putting a lot of stress on the gearbox. So I tried running it at the last event with bushings, and I still went through like 4 different drive motors between my like 7 fights. So I'm trying to see if switching to the dead shafts maybe gives it a little bit more chance of surviving. And then also if it's more of a gearing issue, switching the design to this I could play around with the gear ratios a little bit easier later on if I needed to try to reduce some of that on the gearbox further. But I think like decoupling it from the wheel is kind of the first step in that. But finding 30 grams on a robot that was already made of wet tissue paper and just trying to spin a big blade to keep people away was definitely challenging, but I think I'm almost there. So I got about like 4 grams left, and I got some other parts printing now. So hopefully that'll be good to go, and then I can start doing the prep work that I need to do once I have all the parts kind of finalized. But yeah, so that's really the only robot that got major changes, but that's also the newest robot by like a mile. The other 2 robots have been pretty seasoned at this point. Like I said, Shin Kicker, it's about 2.5 years old at this point, like 60 something matches. Lilliputian's been to 2 events and just happened to do good at those 2 events. But I think I was also able to take a lot of the learning curve from Shin Kicker and apply it to Lilliputian. So it wasn't exactly like starting from zero like Shin Kicker was. So, I got to at least get past some of that learning curve. I got to skip some of that, then just go to some more robot specific problems rather than just like having problems with everything. So.
And I think I'm the last robot that didn't talk. I have Barcode. It's originally Dom Yamkowski's robot with Judge's Dream. I acquired it a little over a year ago. I also acquired Litterbox, which is now Floor Letter Word from Dom. And I've made a couple of changes to the robot since. It's had great success until I went to Merca and didn't do so well. I still need to take it out of the box and put it back together. I don't know if I'll be debuting my new weapon. I have something with a little twist in it, so to speak, as a new weapon. And we'll see if that shows up for champs or if that ends up showing up for maybe December. I'll have it back out. It's a little harder to compete when you're running the events too.
That is true. Now, Alex, just for people that are watching that maybe want to go to the championships, go ahead and share whatever any potential spectators would need to know about coming to see the championships.
So this is one of the very few events that we have where we are not free to the public. You do have to have passes for the larger event that we are part of. It is the New Jersey State Fair at Sussex County, and we will be in what everybody knows as the Barbecue Pavilion. We're right across the main aisle there from the 4-H food. We'll be set up in there, arena up front, pits in the back. Come by, say hi, watch some fights, talk to the builders, learn things. And you never know who's going to be there and who might show up.
If anyone wants to tune into the event that possibly just can't make it in person, we also we do our best to stream and or upload our fights up to YouTube. It's just GSCRL on YouTube, and then we also have an Instagram that's underscore GSCRL on there as well. We post a little bit of updates, and then on the YouTube channel we also live stream the events for anyone who would like to join in.
Well, awesome. I'm sure there's a lot of people looking forward to this. I know I am. I'm always down for robot fights. So I wish all of you the best of luck in this competition. And I'm sure that there's going to be some really good fights to look forward to.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
can't wait.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to competing with these guys and then the big group of other people that also qualified. So should be a
Gonna
great
be a
event.
blast.
Looking forward to meeting some new people. If anyone's, it seems like last year, like I said, we got a lot of interest from the general public and, people that had seen the TV show and, everywhere from like kids trying to drag their parents into it to, like groups of friends getting together. So it's just an overall pretty good time. We got a great community going over here and I'm looking forward to hanging out with everyone.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, if you're watching and you're in the New Jersey area or you feel like going to the New Jersey area, please make sure that you check out this event. I'm sure that it's going to be absolutely wonderful. And if you can't go to this one, there's definitely going to be lots more GSCRL events in the future that you can check out. So please make sure that you follow, their page and everything, see what they've got going on. Follow this podcast, like, subscribe, everything like that. Comment, share, whatever the case may be. Let's keep growing combat robotics. Thank you to everyone for joining me here on the show, and we will see everyone next time.